This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 44 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network. Horseball, what fun! Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Equestrian Collections brings the whole universe of equestrian shopping to your fingertips. Visit them at equestriancollections.com. And also, Easy Signs Online, the #1 farm sign company in the United States. Order online at easysignsonline.com.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek from Lexington, Kentucky.
And I'm Samantha Clark, also from Lexington, and this is the Stable Scoop Radio Show.
And before anybody panics and thinks they have the wrong show, this is the Stable Scoop Show. Helena couldn't be here this week. She'll be back next week. So, Samantha, thank you for agreeing to fill in at the last minute.
It's a labor of love. I enjoy the Stable Scoop Show.
Well, good. And we're going to have a lot of fun today. And actually, what we're going to talk about today is more popular where you were originally from, over in England and in Europe. We're going to talk, it's basically all about horseball today. And
well, yeah, but I have to admit, though, I don't know anything about it.
Well, that's good. Neither do I, and that's why we're doing the show, because we didn't know anything about it. And then a couple weeks ago, I came across horseball, and I said, what the heck is horseball? I didn't know it was an FEI sport. It's like big time in some parts of the world. And, you know, Americans haven't heard of it yet, and we thought, well, let's just get some people on who actually know a little bit about it and who play horseball. And let me tell you, you watched the video, though, right?
I did watch the video, and I was half fascinated. It was a bit like watching a car accident. I was half fascinated and half horrified.
I know.
So I do want to hear more about it.
It's a wild sport. I mean, it is very much a team sport. They really have to work together, and I compared it sort of like the cross between soccer, basketball, and rugby.
Yeah.
With horses. Yeah.
It's it's a little like polo. It's a little like basketball. It's very athletic, and there wasn't one fat person playing.
No,
that was for sure.
Not. You're all over that saddle, around the side of the horse, under the horse. I mean, pretty much just everywhere, but in the saddle most of the time.
Yeah,
it was wild. So we're going to put videos of. I found one really good video that really highlights how fast and furious this sport is, and we're going to put that in our show notes as well so people can watch. But today we have with us Marie Nadeau and Julie Barbeau, and they did that to me on purpose, I bet, from Canada. They were both on the Canadian horseball team last year, and they went in July to Portugal for the first World Horseball Championship. And again, I say, who knew? So they were there and apparently had a good time, and they're coming on the show with us today to talk a little bit about this sport that they absolutely love. I think they're going to tell us, but I think they're part of like the Canadian Horseball Association kind of thing. We're real out of our league here, aren't we?
No, we're going to learn a lot about it. So
it's because you and I, we have no idea. But you know what? I really don't know why this sport isn't popular with Americans. It has a ball. It has a little bit of wild, out of controlness.
A little. Have you seen? And also, when you watch the video, the music that accompanies it, there's like sort of bone crunching sound effects. And then at some point, I was like, is that the ball or is that someone's head on the floor?
It's a wild sport. You really have to check it out. I think it should be. I think the Horse Radio Network should sponsor a horseball league here in Lexington. What do you think at the new indoor?
I want to speak to Julie and Marie first. Before, I'm going to reserve my judgment. I want to find out a little bit more first.
Well, it's one of the few serious equestrian sports, though, that the women and men compete at the same level. They compete with each other, together.
Yes.
And in a real team sport like this. I guess polo's that way, and then, this one's that way. But there's not a lot of sports that have this level of intensity and almost violence that the women and men are on the same team. Well, before we get to that, you had a comment for me before the show started.
Well, speaking about women and men, and well, that's all I'll say about that. Anyway, back in England, I was saying that a friend, I used to train with a lady called Nicola Taylor for dressage, and her daughter is a very successful eventer, and she just had a baby 2 months ago and managed to come back and ride at the CCI 3-star at Bramham, and I think she had one run out, but she managed to complete and did very well. Just 2 months after having her baby. Her baby's called Lily. And before that, 2 weeks prior to that, 7 weeks after having her baby, she rode 10 horses around Brigstock at all levels, including advance. And yes, 10 horses ran an advanced horse trial.
Weren't you riding an advanced horse trial 7 weeks after your babies?
It took me 2 years to come back to beginner novice level. And she said that luckily her baby's very well behaved and that the owners take turns in looking after Lily. And
there's additional duties for being a horse owner for this. I
was
rider.
Absolutely gobsmacked. I'm full of admiration for her. I wish her all the luck in the world. She's a great girl, and her mother was wonderful and was master of foxhounds for the Bicester and a great dressage trainer. And her mother, so Lily's great grandmother, was also one of the English dressage team trainers. But so I think that's quite an amazing story and puts me to shame.
That is amazing, and I think there's a lot of women cringing in America and other countries right now hearing this. That's a comeback. You know what?
That's quite a comeback. So good luck, Izzy. We wish her all the luck in the world. Izzy Taylor.
Obviously, she's got what it takes to get the job done. Let me tell you. Well, I found an article too, and my propensity for large horses. I love draft horses. Percherons especially, but I found this article that there's a Texas horse that could be named very shortly in the Guinness World Book of Records as the world's tallest living horse. And apparently they're going to be doing the measurements here soon. And he's expected that he could be an inch or a half an inch taller than the reigning horse. It's Cheryl Davis's horse Remington, and from Mount Pleasant, Texas. And apparently he stands a little over 20 hands tall right now. She said actually when Remington was actually purchased because of his black and white features, Remington was 17 and a half hands when I bought him as a yearling. 17 and a half as a yearling.
Wow.
We had hoped he would get to 18 and a half. I never expected him to keep going. He weighs 3,000 pounds. And he's not even a contender for the heaviest horse. So there was one fatter than that. But he's not fat. If you see his picture here, he's good looking. We used to go to draft horse sales occasionally where they had the high end draft horses, and we did see a Belgian there that was like 19 and a half hands, and you truly don't appreciate how big that is, how much bigger that seems than even we've all seen 18 hand horses, but you don't appreciate how much bigger that seems when they got that extra 5 or 6 inches on there.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I mean, this horse that I saw was huge. We bought my last Percheron when he was like 18 months old, and he was 16 and a half hands. And then he ended up rounding out at about 18.1. And he was a big boy, and he weighed about 2,000 pounds. But, he was just the friendliest, nicest horse you'll ever meet in your life. Although we were in the barn one time, and he didn't, we had a bank barn then, and most bank barns, as you know, on the first level where you put the stalls, aren't very tall. Are bank barns popular in England?
I have no idea what a bank barn is. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, that's where you actually, I don't know how to describe it. The top part of the barn is all used for storage, and the only part, half the barn is under the earth, and the other half is opened up. So that you can drive your tractor right up the one side into the main barn part, but on the lower level, like almost the basement, on the bottom side is open, and that's where they put the stalls and stuff. You mustn't have those in England.
No.
So anyway, we were in a bank barn, which have very short ceilings, about 7 feet, 7.5 feet. Well, we had the Percheron in there, and he one day spooked at something on the cross ties and reared up and hit his head instantly, obviously,
Aw.
and then fell down in the aisleway, and that's a feat too. You know, there's certain problems you have with big horses like this. He once cast himself in the stall. Well, it was just my wife and I. We couldn't do anything with him. He wasn't freaking out. He was just stuck. And we had to go to the plumbing shop next door and get 2 or 3 guys who knew nothing about horses. And we had to bring them back, and we tied ropes actually had to tie lead ropes to the horse's feet, and it took 5 of us to roll him over. And then we were afraid that once we rolled him over, he would freak out, stand up and crush us all, because it was a 12 by 12 stall.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He rolled over and laid there and looked at us and said, thank you. And then eventually he got up and he was fine. But there are certain hazards you have when you're dealing with 2,000-pound beasts.
What a good boy. What are the big horses they have at the horse park?
Well, they have a variety. I actually helped out in the horse barn there last year for a while. They have a bunch of Percherons. Those are the black and gray ones. They have all different kinds there. They have Belgians. They have a Clydesdale. So they have a variety of. I think they have 40-some draft horses total.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're scattered all throughout the park there. You know that the horse park, the Kentucky Horse Park, actually has, I think it's 230 horses total. There's a lot of them there. You don't realize it because they're all spread out.
Well, we bike around there. The kids and I bike around there, and we always stop and say hello.
Oh, do you? You say hi to all the horses?
Yep.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, let's do a commercial quick for Equestrian Collections, and then let's get to our guests, Marie and Julie from Canada, to talk about the wild sport of horseball. You know, Sam, Equestrian Collections brings the whole universe of equestrian shopping to your fingertips. On any given day, they have over $100 million of products for you to choose from. And I have to say, Sam, that you're an expert Twitterer.
And an expert shopper, I have to say.
There you go. But you tweet a lot. You haven't got anything on Chris. Chris, who owns Equestrian Collections, loves to tweet. She tweets all the time. She understands new media better than anybody I've ever seen. And if you ever have gone to her website, and if you haven't, I encourage everybody to do that. She has one of the best websites, and it's beautiful. She spends a lot of money, hires a lot of people to work on the website, and a lot of graphic artists to work on the website. Her graphics are just spectacular. And she was actually known when Jennifer and I started our company. Years and years ago, we had a tack shop, and she also was started at the same time we did. So that's how we got to know her in the business. And she started out in clothing, and now she's branched out to all different kinds of products. If you need a product, she probably has it. I encourage you to stop by over at equestriancollections.com and check her out. She has fantastic Super Spring specials over there. She has summer specials all the time. She'll have fall specials. There's all kinds of online catalogs you can check out. Just click on the e-catalog section. I think there's 20 or 30 different e-catalogs you can go to. And it's the kind, Sam, where you flip the pages and the pages flip. And then you can click on the product, and it takes you to that product on our website. It's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it just makes spending your money and shopping so much easier. And just for our listeners right now, if you spend over $120, you can get an additional $10 off by using the coupon code 10SPRING09. That's 10SPRING09 at checkout, and she'll give you an extra $10 off just because you listen to the Stable Scoop radio show. So that's Equestrian Collections at equestriancollections.com. Well, Sam, we have with us coming up Marie Nadeau and Julie Barbeau. Again, I say that they did that on purpose. But you know what? I feel at home here because my last name is French also. So I'm Canadian French at that. So they were both on the Canadian horseball team last July in Portugal for the first World Championship. And we just have so many questions and so much to talk to them about. Let's see if we can get them on the line here. Well, hi, Julie and Marie, and welcome to the Stable Scoop radio show. We appreciate you joining us up there from Canada.
Well, it's our pleasure.
Well, what part of Canada are you guys in?
We are
We're
in Quebec.
Province.
We are in south of Montreal. Right now, we're speaking from Hemingford, which is in Quebec, but close to the American border of New York.
Well, I have to tell you, I've been to Quebec once in my lifetime, and it is one of the most beautiful cities I've been to. It is just beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Now, we had a blizzard when I was there, and nobody moved for about 4 days. But
Well, it must have been a big blizzard because we're used to blizzards.
it was a big
actually.
blizzard. We were staying in a hotel that had a mall in the basement, I remember. And
Downtown Montreal, yeah.
yeah, and we had a mall in the basement, and we spent a lot of time in the mall because you couldn't do anything outside. Everything was just stopped.
Well,
So-
that's good for our economy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Underground shopping.
exactly. You know, I think you need it up there. Well,
Yep.
we're just so excited to talk to you guys today. We know nothing about horseball. I venture to say that most Americans don't know anything about horseball. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a new sport in North America. It's been here for about 5 years, and the Americans know about it. It's been about 2 years that there's a team in California, but it's pretty new to North America.
Well, tell us a little bit about the history of horseball.
Well, actually, horseball is a sport that was introduced in France in the early 1980s. And it's the ancestor is first of all is Afghan Bushkazi, which is kind of barbarian. Actually, it's where we've seen it in movies sometimes, where men on our horses and they are trying to fight for a dead cow or a dead goat or whatever.
Was that the same thing where they used to fight for like the heads? They used to have
Yep,
like
there you go.
Ah.
There you go.
the skull and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's called
Ah.
Bushkazi.
Okay.
And afterwards, in South America, was introduced a sport called pato, which means duck in Spanish. And it was a little less barbarian, but still, it was there was a duck in a leather bag, and the bag looked a little bit like a ball. And they were more organized than the Afghans, and they had rules, and they were throwing the ball, well, the bag with the duck in it. And from there, horseball took his sources.
And we don't use ducks anymore, right? Or heads?
No, not
Okay,
at
good.
all.
Right. Glad to hear that.
It's a soccer ball, number 4 for seniors, and it's got 6 leather handles that you can to help us pick the ball when it's on the ground and to catch the ball also.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you are incredibly athletic. I mean, I've seen you galloping along and then you bend down and reach the ball from the ground. It's pretty amazing.
well,
Yes,
it's one of the attraction of the sport. Go ahead, Murray.
Yes, so to help us to bend down and be as athletic as we look, we have a strap that attaches both stirrups under the belly of the horse. So that helps us a lot for the balance. So whenever we bend down or go back on the horse, we have that strap holding the stirrups. So it really gives us a good balance and strength in the leg to go back or go down the horse. So it doesn't, it seems very hard, but once you've tried it, it's much easier than everybody thinks.
Well, you would have to because you guys spend most of your time out of the saddle, on the side of the horse. It's just amazing. Well, let's back up a little bit for everybody who does nothing about it. How do you play the game?
Well, it's a game that is played on a field that is about 195 feet by 82 or 83 feet. Okay, so it's a little bit bigger than a large dressage ring, actually. Let's put it this way. And on each small end, you have the goals. The goals are at the top of the goal. They're 4.5 meters. So that would be, hang on, because I have to.
Around 15 feet.
About 15 feet
Yeah,
high.
they're pretty
Thank you
high
very
up
much.
there. Yeah.
Yep. And the ring is 1 meter, so 3.3 feet diameter.
So
All
it's
right?
like this hole that's 15 feet in the air.
Yeah.
That's a meter hole.
It looks a little bit like a hanging pole.
Yep. Yep.
All
It looks
right.
like a basketball net on its side.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not at the horizontal, it's at
Yep.
the vertical. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And the goal obviously is to score in the nets, but there are 6 players on each team, ideally, 4 on the field and 2 reserves. A little bit like you would see in soccer or hockey. We've got different lines.
Right.
And in order to be able to score, you need 3 passes between 3 different players of the same team.
Oh, so
And then
that's
you can
saying
go
why
and
there was
score.
all the passing going on.
There you go. And then it prevents also the superstar syndrome, you know. Nobody can just take the ball and just leave and go and score. You need to play with the rest of the team.
All right, so you start at the halfway point of the field, and that's where the play starts.
Well, now actually it starts in one of the 2 camps,
Okay.
one of the 2 ends, depending on who won the tossing.
Okay.
And so we start in our own camp, and then we develop strategies to go and to go score.
And to
you
go
then have
score,
all
you
kind
run. Let me just trying to clarify here. So to go score, you run down the field, and you're passing the ball. It has to go between 3 times between different players.
Yeah, between 3 different players.
Yep.
If
Okay.
ever that doesn't work and we can't make the goal, we just go back home with the ball and restart the attack all over again.
Oh,
So we
okay,
can,
that's
turn
interesting.
in circles like 3, 4, 5 times until we do the goal, and we have 10 seconds to pass the ball. Otherwise, we lose the ball to the other team.
Okay, so there is a limit on how long you can hold the ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've
And
got
if
all
ever
kind
the
of
ball
rules
is-
also,
Yeah.
where you cannot cut the horse at an angle more than 45 degrees. Otherwise, you get a penalty. Horseball, contrarily to his ancestors, Bushkadze and Pato, is very safe. It is designed to be very safe for the rider and for the horses. That's why if you watch Horseball, you'll see that the horses have boots on, have bell boots on, and most of the time they've got polos over the boots. Yeah,
Well, now do
and
you wear?
they have a.
do you
They
wear-
also have a fixed martingale, so the
Okay.
horse doesn't bring its head up and hit the player in the face.
And do you wear? Did you wear just flat shoes? Do they wear shoes at all, or?
The horses?
Yeah.
Well, most of them have shoes in front and none in the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're
But
playing
then
on
again,
sand.
if you have a horse that kicks, if you have a horse that goes and kicks another horse, it might be disqualified. It might have to leave the field and leave the match.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know,
it's on-
Sam. That was one of your concerns, wasn't it? The safety issue. But when you watch this, it's pretty wild.
It's pretty rough, and it looks. I mean, polo sometimes gets a bad rap, especially at the lower levels when the riders aren't so skilled, and it looks quite hard on the horses.
Yes, it is hard, but not in a dangerous way. You need a perfect cardio for the horse, and you need a horse that has lots of flexibility to make really small turns. But it's most of all, we don't hold the reins because we pass the ball, so it's nicer in the mouth than maybe polo could be. So whenever they gallop from point A to point B, and then we turn and we go back home, so that is not as hard. It's just that the cardio, the horses, it's 2 periods of 10 minutes for a
That's
game.
it. It's very short. It is
So
short.
it's very short, and you're not allowed switching horse. So you have to think that you have to save your horse's energy for the whole game because you can't switch horse. So we're being reasonable with our horses in a way that we want them to keep going until the end of the game. So
Yeah.
But Sam, I can understand your concern because if you've watched videos, you've probably watched videos of the pros, the European pros, and keep in mind that they're about 23, 24, 25 years old. They're very athletic and they're very aggressive.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I mean, I was
so-
pretty impressed by the riders, but I did have some concern for the horses. But the
Yeah,
riders,
so-
I was amazed by. They were all over the place. I mean, very skilled with the ball, very skilled on the horses, and
Well,
very athletic
then
and
the
very
other thing-
gymnastic.
What you said earlier was that you're not really holding the reins. That's the thing that amazed me. They were riding these horses, and they were really concentrating on the ball. A lot of times they weren't holding reins. I mean,
Well, that's one of the horseball first lessons that you get is that you have to let go of the reins. Horseball is all the opposite of what we've learned before. I did 3-day event to an international level, and then I went dressage. And so when I started horseball, I was was very confused because it's everything that you were told not to do that you have to do.
Oh, wait a
Why,
minute. Jude, wait a
why
minute.
did you start? Wait a minute. No, why did you start horseball?
There
What on
was my
earth?
question. You went from dressage to horseball. I mean,
What on earth made you decide to try horseball?
Well,
She lost her horse
3-day
over-
event was in my other life. In '89, I had a huge accident actually in the United States during competition, and my horse died. So afterwards, I've kind of put 3-day eventing aside because I was 21 years old. I had no more horse since my horse was dead. The horse wasn't insured. I didn't have the money to buy a horse that was at the same level that my previous horse was. So I went dressage, bought a new horse, went and trained with the members of the American dressage team. Did that for a few years, and then went to university, got married, got a kid, and kind of didn't ride that much anymore. And 5 or 6 years ago, a friend of mine said, "Listen, I have a French friend who told me about this sport called horseball." And so I called Marie, who's on the other line, and I said, "Let's go and see that." And I was meanwhile, I was breeding horses and riding just for fun. I was not on the competitive. I wasn't riding competitively at that time. And so we went and discovered horseball like that, and it was, for me, presented at the right time because I was not doing competition anymore. I was riding, for fun when it was not too hot, not too cold, not too windy, not too dry, just in the
You're a
perfect
fair weather
conditions all the
rider.
time, And this was a sports team, which is great because we're always 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe, up to 10, 15 people in the ring at the same time. We're laughing, we're having fun. We
and
can ride with them.
beer in the snow when we're done.
that makes you from Canada.
Yeah, so it was just a different approach to riding that made me enjoy horseball. And of course, since I was an eventer, I've got this adventurous blood in my veins.
Adrenaline need.
Well, what about you, Marie? What was your story? How'd you do it?
Well, I've been riding. I'm a in the bush rider. I've always been riding trail riding and fox hunting riding. So I'm used to having being surrounded by horses, jumping 5 at a time. When you hunt, people hunting are quite crazy sometimes. Full canter, jumping 3 on the side, and so it was always the fun part of riding. And
not to mention that there's beer at the end of that too.
Oh,
sure.
that's great.
The little Porto in the beginning also. So
we have to go to Canada, Samantha.
Well, you're also invited, and you can start horseball also.
Oh, well, there we go.
And then I had stopped riding because my mare had become brood mare for multiple reasons, including age factor. And then I started Taekwondo. So I became a black belt in Taekwondo and competed and everything. And then when Julie talked to me about the horseball, I had to try that because I like adrenaline sports, and I'm a fighter.
Glenn, I don't know if we can go up and do horseball.
Okay, this makes me feel real good that my competitor could kill me while I'm riding with one chop.
Well, actually, you've got to, because as women playing in a mixed sport, because in horseball it's mixed, so you play against men. When you're in the mixed team, we have to be strong and very physical at one point. And throwing the ball, we've got those muscled shoulder. You couldn't believe I'm like looking in the mirror and I'm a slim Jim, but I've got those shoulders, my God, because the ball has to be thrown very far, eh? And so that's that. And then we started playing, and then my husband, that was always on the side of the fence, taking care of the boys. I have 2 small kids. When I became pregnant of the second one, Marc, my husband, decided, well, I want to play too, because I can't stand it staying on the side and looking at you like that. So Marc started riding also, and Julie is the wife, the spouse of my father, so it's really a family thing. So Julie was riding, I was riding, my husband started riding, Julie's son started riding, and my father started refereeing in horseball. So we're really family, team spirit kind of thing. So we're always together and having fun and playing. And then the opportunity of participating to a championship in Europe arrived last year. So we both Julie, Marc, and I were did the how do we call that?
The World Championship.
Yeah, we did the World Championship. So we were chosen between about 15 players to go, and we ended up in Portugal. And I will always remember my first game. We were against Belgium. And Belgium are the fourth in position in Horseball.
In Europe.
And in Europe, they are big, strong, 6 feet, lots of muscle, and 6 men to play against us.
And crazy, we have to add.
Crazy. So I will always remember I had the ball in my hand. I was into a full canter trying to make a pass. And at one point, 3 huge monkey Belgians jumped on me very rudely, and I only heard the whistle, and I came out. They jumped on me, my head, my arms. It was like, this has to end. This has to end. And finally, I was still with the ball in my hands, and the referee had called for a penalty because obviously they were too
aggressive. You're not allowed to be 3 on one player. You know?
You're supposed to go for the ball, not for the player.
Well, that brings up another point that I was trying to figure out when I was watching the video. You are allowed to try and take the ball out of the other player's hands, right?
Sure, but
you're only allowed to have contact with the ball holder.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you cannot have physical contact with the player that doesn't have the ball in hand.
But if he has the ball, they were going after the ball for sure.
Yes, you have to go after the ball. But if you arrive and you are too aggressive, so if you put your elbow in the other player's face, obviously you're going to have a penalty.
And do you wear helmets? Do you wear helmets to prevent?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
But like with a face guard, like the American footballers?
No.
Actually, we saw in Europe some girls on the feminine teams that did wear the helmet with a
grid or
the
sort of like
protector.
a baseball catcher wears. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We did see that, but usually we don't because actually you're not supposed to be hit in the face.
No.
There will be a penalty, and if you're hit in the face, it's going to be a very severe penalty. And the penalty, the highest penalty, we call it a P1, penalty 1, and that usually ends up in a goal.
It's a direct throw at 10 meters.
Okay,
it's a direct throw from the halt from 10 meters from the goal. Remember, you're sitting on the horse, so 10 meters is 30 feet.
Oh, that's a throw.
Yeah, but remember that you're sitting on the horse, and usually it ends up in the goal. So you don't want to have a P1 because you lose a point there.
Well, now
Nor do you want an elbow in your face.
Yeah, but when you take the ball from another player, there are some rules. If you grab it with your left hand, for example, you cannot change your hand while you're pulling. You have to keep the same hand, and you have to sit in your saddle. If ever you're standing up or you're holding to your saddle to hold yourself to have more strength, you're not allowed. The whistle will blow, and you will lose the ball. So if ever I try to grab the ball for someone, I have to keep the same hand. I have to sit in my saddle, and I can't hold myself on the mane, on the saddle, or anything. So it becomes much harder to be able to pull as hard as you can, because you can't hold yourself and you have to sit in your saddle and you can't change your hand. So it kind of slows down the aggressivity of things. You just have to concentrate of like pulling and keep it in your hand as much as you can.
Because as soon as your butt comes out of your saddle, there's a whistle and you lose the ball.
Well, and might we mention that you're riding and usually at a trot or a canter while you're doing all of this?
Yeah, definitely.
There's
no walking.
It's very fast.
It's very fast game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Horses love it so much because they have nobody pulling in their mouth, and they're with their friends because they love being all together. It's to practice. Some horses don't like it, but some do. And they know their job. When we practice them to always gallop and stop under the net. So when we play in games, they just gallop, go under the net, turn around, and go back. So they know their job. They know exactly what they have to do, and nobody's pulling. So they know the game. When I catch the ball, my horses just leaves and goes to full canter because he knows the game. He knows where to go, and he knows he has to go faster than other horses on the side and everything. They know the game, and they love it. So that's a good point. That's the whole point, actually.
How much do you do with your horses in between games, and what do you do with them to keep them fresh and happy?
We do a lot of dressage, a lot of flat work, a lot of trail riding, which is actually good for them. And the horses, cardio. We work cardio, a lot. So galloping and trotting, and they go outside all day, which is a lot of mental therapy for them.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of flat. My horseball horse is a racer, an ex-racer who actually was born in Kentucky, and when he got out of the races, I bought him, and obviously he was a very hyper horse. It's my 5th year with him now, or 4th year, and now he is a machine. He is a horseball machine.
Now, what breed of horse do you see a lot of?
Lots of thoroughbred mixed. We do have quarter horses mixed also.
And it's funny because we have like 3 or 4 Appaloosas on the team.
Yep.
There you go.
But mixed. Well, except for Marie's horse, who's a pure Appaloosa, we have Anglo-Appaloosas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I imagine it started over there, so there must be Arabians that play this as well.
Yep. Yep. Arabians in Europe, Anglo-Arabians are very, very popular. We do have here our one of our junior members who rides a little Arabian mare. She's very strong, very fast. The problem is that sometimes they lose their head because they get too much adrenaline and you can't stop them anymore.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But the main thing is we try to give our horses a horse life. So at home where the club is, we really have a galloping track. We have outdoor, indoor arena, and we change their mind all the time. We don't focus on horseball because we want them to be happy and not like only like becoming sour of the sport and everything, because they can, when we pick up the ball, it's really hard on their back. So if ever they're not doing flat work and getting their back muscled, so then they get in pain and they're not happy anymore picking up the ball, so they avoid the ball and everything. So it's really you have to be multi disciplinary with the horseball horse, otherwise they get sour very fast.
But we also omitted to say that you just don't a horse like that and just introduce him to horseball. There are all kind of exercises we have to do. Some horses will come in and they won't be afraid of the ball at all, but they won't want to go close to another horse because they're afraid to be bitten or kicked or whatever. Some other horses will go close to the other horses, but they're terrified of the wall. Some of the ball. Some other horses won't go close to the wall. Some other horses won't get away from the wall. So we have all kind of exercises to do with the horses in order to prepare them for horseball practices and then horseball matches afterwards. So and although most horses can be horseball horses to different levels, obviously. Not all horses will do horseball horses, as were not horses. All horses will be dressage horses or eventing or
it's like anything else.
Yeah, like anything else.
So
but I would be ready to bet that about 90% of the horses can do horseball and enjoy it to different levels, obviously.
Yes.
You know, they won't
90% under 16 hands, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the other thing. You have to have somewhat shorter horses because you have to bend over and pick the ball up off the ground.
Yeah.
Well, that's us saying that, but in Europe, we've seen 17-hand horses.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, used for horseball. But then again, if the guy riding it is 6 feet tall,
right,
everything being proportional, you know.
He's in better shape than me.
Does that give them an advantage, do you think?
Sure, because I remember there was a guy who was a German, and he was called Guido, so it was kind of funny, a German with an Italian name. And he was 6'3".
Oh, I smell cheating.
Yeah, 230 pounds approximately, with a 17 hand. So when he was raising his hands up, we could see his hand through the net, so he could have stopped a goal because he was high enough to have his hand in the net.
He was one of the very few that could dunk
over us.
He could dunk.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sam, are you signing up yet? You're going to go out there with your event horse?
My horse is pretty
Sam,
big.
You do eventing.
Yes, I do.
Well, you would enjoy Horseball.
I'm not sure.
And you know what? Actually, the level that you saw in the video is not the level that you start playing. It's
No,
like
certainly
anything
not.
else. You don't start eventing at the open intermediate, you know?
Yep.
You start eventing with the starters level, and you go up as you get more experience. Well, Horseball is exactly the same thing.
I imagine at the lower levels it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it is.
When you get a little 13-hand pony to play, it's even better.
My nickname was Mrs. Hoover because I used to have a 14.3 and I'm 5'9", so I would pick up any ball like a vacuum cleaner. So I was Mrs. Hoover.
Now, you said you did Taekwondo. Was it Taekwondo?
Yes.
Well, that probably, because Taekwondo involves a lot of stretching and bending, so that probably helped you a lot in this.
Yes, because it's mostly the strength and being able to being flexible, and it's more of the lower body because it's the legs in Taekwondo, and in Horseball it's more of the upper body with your arms, but having strength in your legs to make your horse go.
I mean, we asked about the horse's fitness. What do you guys have to do to keep fit and to keep flexible?
Well, actually, we do fast walk and jogging, and we always do a training on the ground before with passes and jogging and small training with bending and
we have different exercises.
Doing a frog exercise, so you bend down to the ground and go up, and then your thighs burn after that in pain, but it's mostly general training, stretching, and most of it is ball, because when you pass the ball or get the ball on the ground, you can get your back hurt easily. So it's more stretching of the upper body, neck, arms, and lower back. Yeah.
Well, guys, I'll tell you what, we could talk to you all day, but we're plain running out of time already. This has gone by very quickly.
It's been fascinating.
Yeah, it has. And if we ever get to Canada for anything else, Sam, we're going to go watch a Julie and Marie play a horseball game. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, we won't be alone because it's a team sport. We have we have many teammates. And what's fun about horseball is that we have teammates from all kind of levels of experience, riding experience, and we do have my son, my 14-year-old son, that plays with us. But then again, he's tall and 14 years old, so he picks up any ball and he throws very far, and he's very athletic. But you are more than welcome, definitely.
Well,
thank you very much.
Yeah, we thank you. I do have one question for you. Do you see, is the popularity rising in Canada and maybe here in the United States? Do you see this? Is it growing or?
Unfortunately,
it's hard to
people
say,
are
actually.
scared of the sport because they think it's totally crazy. So that's the downside.
I think Samantha's right there.
For real, once they try it, they fall in love with it. So you got to try.
All right. Well, we'll encourage everybody at least to do some research on it, to take a look at it, and give it a chance because it does look like a whole lot of fun, and you guys are obviously a lot of fun. So we appreciate you being on, and good luck.
Well, thank you very much.
And
thank you, Julie.
See you next year for the WEGs in Kentucky.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. We'll look forward to seeing you. We live about 3 miles from the horse park, so.
Wow, that'd be great. We are talking with Equine Canada and the International Horseball Federation to try to introduce horseball during the WEGs. It would be a great opportunity, and it would be the best window for horseball, So
Definitely.
we're
So
trying
we'll let
very
you know
hard.
about that.
I'm telling you, once Americans see this, they're going to love it.
Oh,
I hope so. I hope so.
All right, thanks,
So-
guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
Julie.
so much
Thanks,
for
Marie.
your time.
Well, Sam, we're shipping you to Canada tomorrow with your beautiful horse. And there you
My
go.
poor, beautiful horse.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. What's that term you use? Gobsnapped or
Gobsmacked, yeah.
Gobsmacked. I mean, that's pretty much describes it, I guess.
Yes.
What do you think?
There's also, I don't know if you have it over here, a television program called Gladiators.
Yes.
And I think that's what they remind me of.
When they said it was started by the French, I went, did Napoleon start this or what? It was that
Or
kind of thing.
the Afghans, was it? Or the barbarians is what it was.
I have seen actually video or in movies or something where they were playing and they actually used human skulls as the as the
goat
ball.
skulls. Ugh.
And that's what they used. So that's where the origins of the game, I think, really started years ago. And I think that's why it's still so popular in Asia and the Far East. It's a very popular game over there. I think they actually use balls now, I hope. But
Yes, she did say they use balls.
well, there you go. That's better than putting a duck in a leather thing. I wonder if the duck was alive. That's the other thing. You didn't say a word about
Glenn,
the
we're
duck.
going to get all sorts of
I
calls from
know.
Peter today, this month, this week.
No, this
You
week
better
it's gonna
stop. Let's talk about
be the
Easy
Peter
Signs
week.
Online.
Okay, we'll do that. And then we'll come right back, and we have some more good stuff for you, too, right after this commercial from Easy Signs Online. Well, Sam, we all know that the economy isn't the best right now. We all have to, in our small farm businesses, have to look for a way to advertise and get the word out without breaking the bank. Well, as small farm and business owners, signs are the most affordable means of advertising for your business, and most businesses, new or not, don't have a dollar to waste. The Small Business Administration says signs are the most effective yet least expensive form of advertising for the small business. What's more, signs are always on the job for you, advertising 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Enhance your farm interest with an affordable, professionally designed farm sign from EasySignsOnline.com. From elaborate carved signs to simple entrance signs, vinyl banners, pet memorial markers, stall nameplates, and the folks at EasySignsOnline.com have what you need in durable outdoor signs. Their unique website uses a step-by-step process, allowing you to choose all of the options and see complete pricing before you buy. Visit EasySignsOnline.com today and take advantage of their current sale of 10 to 15% off and free shipping. Remember, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. Well, Sam, that was a lot of fun. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if Peter writes. It was a lot of fun. It was a good time. We're here to put everything out there that's involved in the horse world and let people decide for themselves. That's
Yep.
that's
You're
our
gonna have
job.
Pamela Anderson writing to you.
All right. Well, we have a giveaway that we do also, and this month we have two great items. We have a $50 gift certificate from Equestrian Collections. You can use it anywhere on their website for anything, so you can win that $50 gift certificate from EquestrianCollections.com, or from Equestrian Life. They have donated 2 of their nifty baseball caps with their logo on them, and they do have a neat logo. And you'll definitely want to be wearing one of these next time you go to the barn. Equestrian Life is the official social network of the Horse Radio Network. Visit them at equestrianlife.com. And you just want to stop over to the website, our website at stablescoop.com, and on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see a giveaway link. Just click on that, go sign up. It's free, it's easy, and we'll be announcing the winners the beginning of July. And I do want to thank you, Sam, for being here. It's been fun. Isn't it fun just to sit and talk about topics and not serious stuff like we do in the World Equestrian Game Show?
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's fun doing that show, too. We
Yes,
get to
it
talk
is.
to some really cool people. But this one's just a little bit different because we have no structure at all. Basically, just nothing.
I have no idea what we're doing.
There's no plan here. We just do. That's pretty much it. But I do want to talk to everybody about the next week's episode. You can't miss next week's episode. Go sign up through iTunes or Zune if you haven't yet. You do not want to miss next week's episode. Catch it on the website. We don't care how you listen to it. Next week, Sam, is the Twitter episode. And what that means is we have 10 people who have followed us on Twitter that are going to come on, and we're doing it. It's going to be a boom, boom, boom fast show. Each of those 10 people have 4 minutes to talk to us. It's just like on Twitter. Twitter limits your discussion to 140 characters. That's all you're allowed to type in your little blog entries on Twitter. Well, they're going to get 4 minutes, and we're going to dial them up, and they got 4 minutes to tell us what they want to tell us, and we're going on to the next. And there are some fascinating people going to be on the show, as it turns out.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We're not even going to we're not going to do like we usually do and cut out the dialing or anything. It's going to be a straight hour show where we're dialing people and talking to people. And we're going to have a timer, and we're going to have a buzzer when they're done, and when they're done, we're cutting them off.
Great.
So at 4 minutes, they get cut off even if they're in mid-sentence, and we go on to the next one. It should be a lot of fun. As I told Helena last week, it's either going to be a lot of fun or a complete disaster. I'm not sure which. so I don't think that's ever been done before in any medium, as far as show of this kind. So it should be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a good time. I noticed you didn't volunteer to be on the list because you get enough airtime now, I guess, huh?
God, I feel like I'm blanketing Horse Radio Network. That's plenty
and
for me.
we love to have you. Well, speaking of Horse Radio Network, thank you for the transition there, Sam. We have a couple of other shows that we do. Sam and I do the 2010 radio show. What did we have on this week?
This week we had a great show. We also went up to Canada and we spoke to Akash Maharaj, who is the CEO up there, and he's a very interesting man. But we managed to keep it purely to what he's doing for the Equine Canada and the Canadian team, and looking forward to the WEG next year. But he had a lot to say, and he was fascinating. And also, he has his own website, which we'll put a link to on our website as usual. And he's done all sorts of things in his life.
That's the thing. He's done stuff. Speaking of Horseball, the stuff he does is with pointy
tent pegging.
Tent pegging, and what was the other one? Oh,
just.
Yeah,
I mean, tip of the iceberg is his the CEO of Equine Canada. That was just the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, he's dealing with sharp objects, swords, and weapons, and
and he went to Oxford University and was president of the student union there. The first non-British person to do that.
Oh wow.
He was very humble and very didn't talk about it much. So maybe we'll get him on again and talk to him about himself more. But he spoke about Canada and what they're doing, getting ready for the WEG. So that was exciting. And we also had our spotlight athlete, which was our show jumper, who was completely different.
And we're not going to tell everybody.
We're not going to tell. No, I'm not going to say who he was, but he is a man, and he's completely different and younger, and tons of personality, very charming, very fun, and that was exciting. So
yeah, we're looking for, you will enjoy hearing him. Stop over to 2010radioshow.com and take a listen. I think you're going to enjoy that. And if you've missed it, we're following a different athlete for each of the disciplines that are part of the World Equestrian Games, 8 of them in total. So you want to stop over. We've done a number of them already, and pay a visit and listen in. We also do the eventing radio show. I do that with Chris, my co-host. And this week we had the eventing Percheron, speaking of large horses. The eventing Percheron is owned by Dawn DeFrance out of New England, and she events this Percheron up to the lower levels of eventing. And this horse absolutely loves to jump. When you watch the videos, it's amazing. He clears these jumps, he gets his knees up, and he does a great job in dressage too. I mean, it's just a great thing for a big heavy Percheron to love to do cross country so much and event. And it was just fun to talk to her. And then also we have the dressage radio show on the network done by Chris and Heather, and they do a good job over there. It's their 4th episode that they had this week, and they spoke to Gil Merrick here in the United States. And Heather does a neat thing on that show where she does a training tip every week. So that's kind of neat, too, to listen to Heather and what she says about her training tips, and those have become very popular very quickly. And Sam, we encourage people to write to us. If you have show ideas, especially, we're always looking for unique ideas like Horseball to do shows on. So if you have a show idea, just write to us. We'd love to add it to the lineup. You can go to stablescoop.com and click the contact link at the top of the page. Well, Sam, this has been our 2nd show of the week.
Yep.
And we encourage everybody to come back again next week for our Twitter episode. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have 10 guests in 1 hour, 4-minute shots, boom, 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 boom. And we'll probably be getting a lot of horse information within an hour period of time. It should be a lot of fun. So, everyone, we'll be back again next week.
And Helena will be here with the scoop.